Hey, look, are we ready? Are we ready to start?
Absolutely.
You ready to start?
Start the new year.
Start the new year. Well, a month after we planned. And New Year's resolution. I'm going to follow in the suggestions of our lovely listeners. I'm not going to go, easy now.
You're not going to say,
Well, no, I've just done it, haven't I?
yeah,
Oh, man.
maybe that'll be the last one.
Could be. Yeah, hey guys, welcome back to the Drive Talk podcast. We are back here in the roastery at Podium Place. Good to see you, mate.
Good to see you too, mate. Good to see you. And yeah, happy New Year. I know this is probably going to end up going out very late into the new year.
We're just in that time frame where it's probably nearly just acceptable to still say Happy New Year.
Yes.
But within the next few days, it's not. And
That's
I think
it.
definitely in emails, I'm like getting to the point where I don't do Happy New Year anymore.
Yeah.
But I guess we need to start off with a bit of an apology, don't we?
Yeah.
Because we recorded 2 banging episodes of the podcast before Christmas that would go out in the first month of the year. Because our last podcast that went out on YouTube and on all the various podcast platforms was on Christmas Day, our end of year special.
Yes.
And then I was away on holiday the first couple of weeks of January. So we recorded 2 episodes, one with just me and you and one with the legend that is Mr. Tony Lewis. They were amazing episodes. And then technology let us down.
It did. And it was really unfortunate. And we're all devastated. We're all understandably gutted because obviously it takes a lot of work, time and effort. Ironically, we had James from Michelin down to watch and listen in the background.
Yeah, of course.
As you say, the legend Tony Lewis. So Tony, if you're listening to this, thanks so much for your efforts. You took the whole day out to come down and record it. We still had fun. And that episode we will be redoing again at some point soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that, you and I, we both film YouTube videos. There's been instances, I'm sure, that you've had where you filmed something, you got back, you've had a problem with the mic or the camera or something.
Oh, it happens. And, what the problem we had was we had what we think was some kind of write issue with the SD card because we recorded everything, file sizes looked all good, and we didn't think there was a problem. Then when Pat started to try and edit the video and the audio, it was clipping and it almost removed about 10 minutes or so of the podcast, but just the bits in between everything we were saying.
Yes.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
And even with the magic of AI and all the various sort of Harry Potter-esque software that Pat uses sometimes to clean up audio, we just couldn't fix it. And we just didn't want to put it out because the quality just wasn't there.
It wasn't.
But it is a hazard of the job, and there is nothing more devastating. It's normally, for me, when there's something that's really important or really cool that you have some kind of issue. I think the worst one I ever had, I've not been doing YouTube that long, and I had Ollie Webb in a Caterham 620R with me at Bruntingthorpe, and I interviewed him in the car, and then he took me, we were at VMAX 200, so we went and did this whole lap of Bruntingthorpe very sideways, very quickly. Got home the next day, I thought, this is it, this is viral content, I'm going to be a massive YouTuber now. And my mic hadn't worked. I had no audio at all. I've got this video of me just, if you could lip read, it would be amazing, but there was no audio at all, and that was it. And I can remember almost bursting into tears because and I think mic problems are the worst when you don't get audio.
They are, and it goes back to something I think we've actually talked about on the podcast before, and it's something that's definitely worth understanding for aspiring YouTubers or people that want to start online content. I know when I started out, I remember people that knew what they were doing used to say to me, sound is more important than image quality. Yeah. And I always used to be like, yeah, whatever, like it's all about the image quality and whatever. And I look back at some of my early YouTube videos, or even 3-4 years ago, and the sound quality, all you can hear is the vibrations through the GoPro because it's stuck to the windscreen, and you just think, how did people sit through this? Because it annoys me now. And I sat there and edited that and thought it was okay. So, but obviously with a podcast, I mean, we pride ourselves on the fact that we use the best equipment, and we both spend a lot of time listening to podcasts, as all of us do these days. And it's all about the quality of the sound clip.
It is. And I guess, for me, the other thing is I'm not trained videographer or sound guy. You know, I've learned everything from just on the job, if you like. And you're right. I look back at my early ones and think, oh my goodness me. But I'm constantly striving to make audio better. But even when you buy a new piece of kit, we were talking before we started recording this, I've just bought a new wireless mic setup, and I'm still getting to grips with levels and making it sound how I want it to sound. And it's not easy at all. And I know it's now what we do, but it is there are people out there whose only job it is to do sound.
Yep.
Or whose only job it is to edit and color grade and all that kind of stuff. And we're just like, enthusiastic amateurs that do it for a living.
We're not even jack of all trades. We're Joe of all trades.
But yeah, so massive apologies. We will get Tony back on. And actually, I think it was such a great episode, and we're so gutted we couldn't share it with you, but we will get him back on, but in a slightly different way, I think, because it was such a good episode, and the subject we were talking about was so good. We've got some plans to make it even better.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's it. But one of the things I want to talk about next is, you're not very well, are you, mate? I want to have a chat about, not just, give you some love and make sure you feel a bit better, but just generally speaking, I thought it would be a nice thing to talk about. But you've not been well for ages.
Yeah. Ironically, when we filmed those 2 episodes that didn't go live,
which was December,
which was 6 weeks ago to the day, I think it was. Yeah. I was at that point a week into not being very well, but thinking I was actually recovering. I remember I was coughing a bit and stuff, but starting to feel a bit better. But since then, I've not gotten any better, and I've been to the doctors. Apparently, I've got a severe lung infection on my right lung. I've had antibiotics and steroids and all sorts of things, and unfortunately, none of it's working. And yeah, I've just not been particularly well. I'm glad that I finally gave in and went to. We all joke about man flu and how we can't handle things and whatever else. But I think there is a flip side to that. If you're not well for more than 2, 3, 4 weeks, then there is no harm. In fact, there's only good that you go and speak to your doctor or whatever, because there are some nasty things going around. Obviously, off the back of the COVID years and stuff, it's just good to go and have a checkup. And unfortunately, yeah, I'm still down in the dumps a bit. I have good days and bad days, but I've just got sort of breathing issues, which is no fun.
No.
And I'm looking forward to sort of getting that out of the way. And I know also this time of year, mental health is ironically usually a big problem for me, or not a problem, but it's something that does creep up on me around January. But this winter, I've actually not had. I think the summer months, we talked about it on the pod, I was a bit down in the dumps through summer months, but through the winter, I've actually been mentally in a pretty good space. And now I'm physically not in the best of spaces, but
we need you both back on both fronts.
I'd like both of them back. Yeah.
I think if you've got a problem and you're poorly over a long period of time, it does play on your mind, I'm sure. And I've got some good friends of mine that have had some health issues over the last couple of years. A good friend of mine's had long COVID for pretty much 2 years.
Wow.
Our next door neighbour's had it since, I think he got COVID that March when it first came out, and he's still not right.
Wow.
So there's a lot of it out there. And I think if you are suffering, and I know a handful of people that have got coldy, chesty, coffee things that have been around for weeks, if not months.
Yep.
But the most important thing is go and talk to your doctor.
Yep.
I know it's difficult getting an appointment with your doctor sometimes, but you just need to, whether it's something like a cough or a cold or other things. I was talking to you off camera before. A few years ago, I had the kind of health concerns. I saw some blood in my poo one morning and thought, oh my god, that's me done.
Yeah,
I've got something really horrible, and it took me ages to talk to anybody. And then I spoke to Tracy, and I ended up going to the GP, and I had a colonoscopy and all the tests that aren't very pleasant, and it worked out I was absolutely fine. There was nothing wrong with me.
Yep.
But I still look back on that, and for ages I had this, I'll be okay. There's nothing wrong with me really. I'm sure it's not what I think it is. I'll just muddle on.
Yeah.
And actually it's so easy to just go and have a chat with your doctor, and they generally are, super lovely about it. Yes, the things I had done weren't the most pleasant in the world, but I then got a clean bill of health and it's okay. So we just thought it'd be, I know it's not car related and stuff, but we want this podcast to be a bit more than just us talking about cars. We're, at the end of the day, we're two mates, and it's very stereotypical to say blokes generally don't talk about stuff with each other.
Yeah.
Whether that's mental health or physical health, and we want to promote that it's okay to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's great that you brought that up, and and as you say, anyone that's listening and watching, whether it's mental or physical, don't be afraid to go and speak to someone, because when I finally did go into the doctor sort of 10 days ago, it was such a relief. I left there feeling so much better because I'd actually spoke to someone and they'd given me, some antibiotics and these steroids that I was on and stuff. It's just steroids.
I was going to say, you make you like Popeye.
Yeah. But and that all helps, obviously, just knowing that you've done the right thing. But yeah, that's been me for the past 6 weeks or so.
Well, I hope we sort that out and we get you back full fitness.
Yes.
Because the other thing is that the world of YouTube now, we're going to move on to sort of doing the whole thing for a living, what you do. It's merciless. If you're ill, you're self-employed, and if you're not feeling up to it, you need to have quite a lot of energy to make a YouTube video, because the camera, if you aren't at high energy levels, the camera sees it straight away.
Yeah.
It's like you almost, even if you're having a good day, you have to elevate your energy just a little bit higher than you are in the normal.
Yep.
So if you're not feeling great, to do that's quite difficult. To motivate yourself to get out there, and it's quite difficult.
Yes.
So you're not feeling great, but you've still got to make content.
And even things like, honestly, like I was lucky. It was almost like I could see this coming, because at most of December, and also a bit of a hangover from my Australia trip, I had probably 10 videos that were in the bag and ready to edit, which is very unlike me. As
10?
Wow. That's never happened before.
I've got none at the moment. I'm hand to mouth. I'm still panicking about where next Monday's video is coming from.
Yeah, it is scary. I've never had that many in the bag before, and I remember thinking, coming up to middle of December, I was like, wow, okay, well, at least I can spend most of January just editing and stuff. But even when you're really not feeling great, and when your brain's a bit foggy, I mean, my brain's always foggy, but it's foggier than normal, sitting down in front of the computer, you know what it's like. You've really got to attack and edit. You've got to sit there and go, right, I'm going to sit here for the next 5 hours and edit. But if you're not in the right mindset, you'll sit there for 20 minutes, get distracted on Instagram, or just go and make the 20th cup of tea or coffee. Yeah. And you don't get anywhere, and then that gets frustrating. So yeah, it is. Anyway, I'll be back, and hopefully,
I find like some videos I make, I'm really, really excited to get into the edit, because I know creatively it's going to be the R8 comparison video I did at the back end of last year. I had so many cool things to put in it, and I had to try and in my head work out how that was going to work. Other ones that are a bit more, I'm going to use the word run of the mill. They're just, sometimes I have to have a word with myself and say, just get the edit done.
Yes.
You've got to get it done. And there's time. I mean, I guess we're a bit different. I have these deadlines, 3 deadlines a week, and I have to get it done. And I have to get it done the day before so I can upload it, because my internet at home is rubbish.
Yep.
So yeah, sometimes you just have to have a word with yourself. Get on with it.
Yes. Talking of channels and editing and videos and stuff, you've just hit a very impressive milestone on your channel.
Yeah, 200,000 subscribers.
Amazing.
I know, it's nuts, because you hit that a while ago, and I think for most people I know in the YouTube space, the one they really, really want is 100,000 subscribers.
Yep.
Because I think, I mean, if you've just started, every 1,000 or every 10,000 is a big milestone. To get to the first 1,000, then it was the first 10,000. But at 100,000 subscribers, you get your plaque from YouTube, and that all I wanted was one of those.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the next plaque from YouTube doesn't come till I've hit 1 million.
Yes.
It's just a long way away. But no, it's a really big milestone for me, and I'm very proud. It's been a lot of hard work, but the hard work carries on now. It's not, you can't rest on your laurels, and a lot of people will think that you hit a particular milestone and then suddenly the numbers fly in because you've hit a big number, and it just doesn't work like that. You have to still carry on making content that people want to watch.
Yep.
Otherwise, they don't you don't grow.
No. 1,200 videos as well, isn't it? Or just over?
Just over, yeah.
1,200.
I know, and that's annoying because sometimes you look at someone, I don't know how many videos Matt Armstrong's done, right? But he's at like, I don't know, 2.5 million, 3 million subscribers. And he's probably done about 200 videos because each one, every video, it does 2 million views within a day or something.
Yeah.
But in the normal world of YouTube, with the normal normal creator, then I was helped a bit by my daily vlogs during COVID. I do 3 videos a week, so that number grows quite quickly.
Yeah, massively impressive.
But yeah, no, it's a cool number to hit.
Yeah.
But onwards and upwards. All we need now is the 100,000 subscriber podcast.
Yes.
Plaque. So if you are watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, you're like, that was a good segue.
That was really good. Yeah, smooth.
Hit that subscribe button, because this year it's very important for us to grow our listenership and our viewership. So if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do that. If you're listening on a podcast platform, give us a review, give us a follow and so on, because those numbers are really important. When you talk to, for me as a YouTuber, it's the same for you as to a brand. There's this 200,000 is a big number. I was at the What Car Awards last week, and there was lots of press teams there. It was really nice. 3 or 4 of them came up and went, because I hit it that day. Yeah. And I put a post out earlier on that day, and a lot of the team came up and said, "Oh, you've hit 200,000. That's amazing. Well done." Yeah. That was really nice to know that they're actually watching my socials, to be fair. Yeah. But yeah, no, a big thing.
Nice. And just while we're on that as well, we talked about this again just before Christmas. You've essentially given up because you've been juggling your daytime job a little bit, rightly so, because you kind of, what you do has enabled you to be able to play with both. Yeah. But now you're pretty much focused fully on YouTube.
Yeah, and it's a very different mindset. So so for those who don't know, I'm a trainer in telecoms. I'd worked for companies as a trainer, and then with 4 guys way back in 2010, we all left the training company we worked for, set up our own business. I was a director of that business and worked there for a number of years. But at that time, I then started just playing with YouTube as a hobby, really. And a combination of things, that business is the things that we were doing. I wasn't doing so much face-to-face training anymore. I was doing more content creation, which I'm all right at, but it didn't float my boat. And YouTube was growing, and I was getting invites to things, and I didn't have enough leave to go on some of the things I was being invited to. So I was brave and left that business and went freelance. And that gave me this ability to balance the two things. Yep. So probably the last 5 years, I've balanced being a trainer as a contractor for other training companies and doing YouTube. And all that's happened in the last 4 or 5 years is that balance, as the channel's got bigger, I've done less and less training. Yep. And then last year, 2 of my big clients, one of them, basically they got someone in-house that came in as a new trainer. It was funny, I actually trained them on their induction. They came and sat in on one of the courses that I teach, and I just thought, this is it, because he's going to teach this course. Yeah. And he does now. So I got 3 weeks of work from them last year, I think. Okay. So I've made the call. If a training job comes up, I'll do it, because it's something I love doing. I love helping people learn, and it's good money. But I'm not going to chase it. Yep. What I'm going to do is focus in on making, and I'm going to say YouTube, but actually it's not just YouTube, making the business that we're in pay. Yep. And that, I think we've talked about it before, that's quite a complex mix of revenue streams, really. That's YouTube ad revenue, which is really, really challenging. Yeah. And the bit that's really challenging, I don't know, if you look at the ad revenue you'll get December and January and compare the two. Yep. January is probably like half of what December is. My revenue's gone.
Yeah. Ironically for me though, this year, you're right, in the last 9 years it's been like that for me. Yeah. But this year, I mean, honestly, back end of last year was dreadful for me, YouTube wise. But this January, which I actually got today, I think I got a notification. Yeah. I made more in this month than I have in the last probably 6 months.
Amazing.
But that's only just because I had a couple of videos that have done really well. But you're right.
And that's the problem. So it's anybody who's ever run a business, cash flow is super important, and understanding what your revenue streams are going to be like. So it's very difficult to predict YouTube revenue. But there's YouTube revenue, We both work with the same guy that helps us grow our Facebook audience, which has been unbelievable and gone from no revenue at all 6 months ago to actually reasonably good revenue now. And then there's working with brands. There's other things that we can do to monetize ourselves, and that there is no playbook. And we're not, I think there's an image out there that YouTubers make millions of pounds and don't have to worry about things. But it's a very difficult space to navigate your way through. Because there's this balance between knowing your worth and not overpricing things. And finding partners to work with and finding the right partner. We both get probably 15, 20 approaches a day via email to represent a brand or to advertise a product, and they're normally rubbish. And nothing to do with the core beliefs of the channel.
No.
So it's that's the world I'm in at the moment, is trying to navigate my way through. And it was funny when we were on holiday. Tracy and I were we were lucky we went to Barbados for 10 days, which was just, we might talk about that actually, social media detox. How important is that on my day?
That wasn't a full detox, was it, Ped?
Well,
it was. Yeah, I think you did a 90% good job there. I'll give you a B plus.
So let's move it. So one of the things, the mental health thing as well, but is that it's a very addictive thing being a YouTuber, because you create content. I'm constantly on my YouTube studio. I must open YouTube studio up 20, 30 times a day.
Me too, yeah.
Just to see, especially if there's a video just dropped, just to see if it's doing okay and so on. So we went away 2nd of Jan for 10 days, and I had worked really, really hard in December to bank enough content to still drop a video on a Monday and a Friday throughout Christmas and while we were away on holiday.
Right.
And they were already uploaded to YouTube and scheduled to drop at those times. So I knew I didn't have to make any content. And I said to Tracy that I would detox. I would put my phone in the hotel safe and not do anything at all. I kind of did that. One thing you find, you tend to need to have your phone with you. Just where we were was a really big resort, so just to kind of message either Tracy or our friends, or what, if I went scuba diving a few times, just to, so I had my phone with me. So then it's very difficult to not look at. But I didn't create any content. I didn't upload any stories. All I did was, when a video dropped, I interacted with the comments for the first few hours and just messaged, because I still struggle with, if someone's watched a video and put enough energy in it to put a comment, the least I can do is answer back to that comment. And I do try. I read every comment, and I got 35,000 comments across my channel last year. And I interacted with pretty much every one of them. So I did do a bit of that. And I got worse as the holiday got on. I got more and more into messaging stuff. And it was really good for me. I think it was the not having to create stuff. Not looking and going, that would make a good story, or that would, I'm going to make a video, or I'll walk around. I didn't have to do any of that. So that was good.
Nice. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because obviously I have the same when I go away. Lou and I are off in May for a proper holiday week away, and I also want to just disengage from everything. But at the same time, you can't just, it would be like the equivalent of you, if, I don't know, you're an electrician, and it's like, well, I'm going away for a week. I'm not going to answer any calls or any emails. I'm going to ignore everyone. You can't just do that, can you? You can't just switch off cold, because that's your business at the end of the day.
It is. I mean, there's no one to say they're still going to be there when you get back, and will it dent your revenue that much? But I just stress about whether it will.
Yes.
But it is important, though, because I think, we if there's one thing, now I'm full time, the one thing, if you had Tracy on the podcast, she would say, is that my addiction to my phone is unhealthy. And I try really hard at night time to put my phone in another room so that I can just sit there. Either we'll have a meal together, or we'll talk, or we'll watch something on the telly, and I'm not thinking about online and stuff. But the one thing we did do, which was really nice, is we sat down while we were away, and we just talked about this year for me and how I was going to plan stuff, because I've been very reactive, I think, up until now. And planning stuff is, planning in press cars, having a strategy around content, having maybe trying to think of content that's a bit different to everybody else.
Yep.
I mentioned Matt Armstrong before, but you look at what he does. He's blown up because he does stuff that no one else does. When we had Raz on, he does stuff that no one else does. So is there something I can do that is a bit different and marks me out from other people? I would like to think we've both got our own styles, and that's something I've grown in 8 years. But that's, for me, this year is about, if I'm going to do it and it's going to be my job, I need to approach it like that. But it still needs to be a hobby. If that makes sense.
Yeah, in the sense that you still want it to feel like a hobby.
Yeah, I don't want to wake up and go, oh God, I've got to make a car. I've got to make a video. The day I do that, slap me.
Yeah.
Because I'm so lucky, and there's so many people listening to this who will have a job they hate, or they've always wanted to do what we do, and I appreciate that, and I'm very grateful for what we do. But the dynamic difference when it's what you need to do to earn a living. So when a video goes up, and I'll give you 2 examples. In the last week, I've had one video that in the first day did 65,000 views, which is my record in 8 years. And then another video that did 3,000 views in 24 hours. And the difference, when that first one went up, and I'm like, oh wow, this is, and you're looking at the YouTube studio, and this is amazing. And then the other one went up, and you're like, oh wow, that's just not flying at all. And I changed the title, and it's still not doing anything. I'm like, that's just
scrabble around, don't you?
It's like, please, can I change the thumbnail? Can I change the title? And it just didn't do it. And it's very frustrating.
You could always just buy views.
You could.
I mean,
there's plenty out there that do.
I mean, that's something that I've really started noticing in the last few months is obviously Instagram and the like has been happening for years. I mean, it's pretty easy to spot an Instagram fraud, although a lot of brands don't seem to spot them. They seem to work with them. Brands seem to gravitate towards frauds. But anyway.
I sent you that link the other day, didn't I? I could buy, I don't know, from 1, 5, 10, 100,000 Instagram followers for like, I don't know, 100 quid or something.
Yeah, I mean, what an investment.
Yeah.
But the YouTube thing is something I've started noticing. And obviously, I'm not going to name any names, but I just can't believe how obvious it is. These people are getting video just has no views. Then suddenly it has 5,000 views. But then you look at the likes, and it have 15 likes and 1 comment.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's impossible. Your video can't have 5,000 views and 15 likes. So it's either absolutely garbage, because I mean, so that's an alarm bell, or there's something not right there. And then it will sit at 5,000 for a couple of days or all day. And then guess what? Throughout the night, a magical 5,000 views will arrive.
The view pixies come.
And then it's another, but then the likes don't go up. And I mean, it's just, but again, it does amuse me. And it's something that I always think to myself, if YouTube didn't work out for me, and if I decided that I couldn't keep up, or, it wasn't, I would love to get into that and helping brands. But then again, going back to what I said a couple of minutes ago, it's almost like some of them don't seem to care. It's almost like they turn a blind eye to some of these frauds, because there's a lot of them out there. But anyway, moving on.
What's the next?
Sorry, I had to. That wasn't even on the list.
No, it wasn't. But I was waiting for it.
Yeah, I just thought I had to mention it.
But the thing is, there is no magic formula. There's no silver bullet that's going to say that video is going to fly.
No.
And I think there are certain channels that just have this. They've got this momentum, and once you get it, it must be an amazing wave to ride.
Yeah.
And we had Misha on. He's on riding that wave. You got the likes of Matt Armstrong and Tavares and people who put videos out, and they just go absolutely ballistic.
Yep.
Beard meets food. Do you watch him? He's one of those professional eaters. He goes and does these eating challenges.
Yeah.
And his videos are brilliantly done. I'd love to meet him. He looks like a really interesting chap. God, does he get some numbers?
Yeah.
1.5 million views in a day.
Wow.
Of him eating about 15 burgers and stuff. It's just
yeah. Can you imagine?
I know.
It's that ingredient, but I mean, some of it will go on forever. But then it's also the longevity of a lot of it. You do look at it and you go, will it? Because I've even noticed the likes of Carwow recently. They've put out a few drag race videos that just don't seem to be. Like, I used to watch most of their drag race stuff, but after a while, it all becomes a bit repetitive.
Yeah.
And also you kind of sit there thinking, like, where do you go next? When they've had MotoGP versus F1, but where do you go from there? Like, do you get the...
What a great video that was.
Oh, I mean, they're incredible, but it's like...
As I sit there and think, how did you organise that?
Yeah.
The legit... Well,
I can imagine they came to car... Yeah, it's the biggest platform in the world, isn't it? Or one of them. But you do look at... So even at that level, you think, well, if they can struggle at time to time, it's all about being... having your own niche but I think I'm looking forward to seeing where you go with everything and in which direction you go.
Me too.
Yes.
As long as we're both on the same journey, we're all right.
Exactly. I think we should move on to what the main subjects of this podcast is, talking about new cars, or cars that we're potentially excited about in 2024.
Mate,
that we're already a month into.
I
know. So yeah, let's kick it off. I'll let you start, Ped, because I know your list was much bigger than mine to start with.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it's not so much a car, it's a brand that I'm excited for this year, and that is Mini. So I built my channel basically on the back of my Mini Roadster, and then I had my Mini Clubman. And I've done lots of really cool stuff with Mini. For me, it's one of the best press trips I've ever been on. We went to Turin with 3 Minis and drove around the Lingotto car factory roof. Still a mega trip. But Mini have been a bit quiet the last 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
They've done a bit of, I'm going to say they've done a bit of an abath because they bring out a new car, but really it's just a paint job.
Yep.
There's nothing new about the car. It's a limited edition. But this year is a big year for Mini. They've got the new Mini electric Cooper coming out, which... the Mini Electric's been around for a long time. We went to the factory in Oxford for the first launch of the Mini Electric.
Yep, beginning of 2020, before the world turned upside down. Yeah,
and that was a great car. It just suffered with range. Range was quite poor. But the new Mini Electric looks really interesting. The interiors looks really cool, and the new Countryman as well. So they've got 2 brand new models, and then later this year we'll see the Aceman.
That's not. It's going to be like the Paceman.
Oh, no, it's not. Apparently, no. It's all electric platform, but it looks quite funky.
Aceman.
So
what is it? 2-door?
It's a little kind of crossover 2-door electric, funky looking thing. It looks really cool, actually.
Okay.
And I know, talking to the Mini press team, there's some really cool stuff planned. And I'm talking really closely with them, and I've kind of reignited the Mini spark a little bit in my channel. So I'm doing a series of videos with Podium, actually, with a little Mini convertible that we've been converting for the last, taken a lot longer than we thought, but tune into my channel to work out why. And then I've just put my Roadster, has just had a complete overhaul as well. I've demodified it.
Demodified Ruby?
Yeah. I've gone too far, man.
I don't know what that's like at all. I've never done that in my life.
It's possible to demodify a car. I just went too far, turned it into a track car that, it's when people go, oh, it's a race car for the road. When was the last time you ever drove a race car? I wish I could drive this on the road.
Yeah, it just...
Never.
No. I mean, we've both learned with my M2 build, I went way too far with things like suspension components. I mean, even my brakes, if I didn't do more track stuff on that car, I wouldn't have the AP brakes that I have on it, because on the road they're a pain, as you found out with yours. Yeah, constantly. But the suspension, I mean, you've got to remember, these manufacturers, they build the cars perfectly for the road, and there's so much that goes into that, right? Yeah. And yes, you can make it better for certain scenarios, but if you're making it better for one scenario, then you're making it worse for the other sscenario. Yeah. And you do soon realise that.
The magic words, because I had Alcon brakes that are amazing on track, by the way, but my mate that works there was showing me around, and his sentence was, "We didn't do any NVH for these brakes." Right? And that's noise, vibration, and harshness. Yeah. So that's basically taking the squeal out. The engineering you need to do to a set of brakes to stop them squealing is a lot, and it compromises the ultimate performance. So if you're on a track day, you don't care if they squeak. No, but you want the car to stop. Anyway, so that's Mini. we get digressed onto something else. Yeah, but Ruby Roadster is going to be. I'll get it back next week. Very excited.
Nice, awesome. Mini. My first or the first car I'm looking forward to, or a car that I think is going to be a pretty major car for BMW. Surprise, surprise. What a surprise. You've gone BMW and you've gone Mini and I've gone BMW.
Do you do much stuff on Mini, on BMW?
Oh, occasionally, this and that. Is the incoming M5 and M5 Touring, which
Not the i5.
not the i5, no, definitely not that.
And the i5 Touring.
And the i5 Touring, which has just been mentioned, released today, I think.
Oh, right.
I saw something on Instagram. But anyway, no, definitely not the i5, the M5. And when we did record those dreaded podcasts just before Christmas, I just got back from Germany and Austria with Lou, and I actually saw an M5 Touring in camo go past. And it's a car that I understandably get asked a lot about. In last year, especially, you're going to be trading in your M3 Touring for, well, firstly, as I said on the last podcast that didn't go live, I struggle to pay for the current one. When you factor in that the M5 Touring, I reckon it's going to start at about £150,000. I'm definitely not looking at getting one for that reason alone. But it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a very different car because, to my understanding, it's going to have essentially the XM running gear. So it's going to have the new S68 with a full hybrid, plug-in hybrid system. To my understanding, I could be completely wrong. And therefore, it's going to weigh 2.5, 2.6. I've even heard of the Touring. Some people say it's 2.7 tons.
Jeez.
So that's coming on to 800 kilos heavier than an M3 Touring. So what does that say? It says to me that it's not going to be dynamically as precise and brilliant as the M3, but it's going to be more of a GT sort of cruising car.
800 kilos, right? Put that into context. So imagine your M3 Touring, okay, and then have a roof rack on it, and then park a Caterham on the roof rack with two people sat in it, and that would still probably be not 800 kilos.
It's just insane, isn't it?
Just think of that picture.
It's a crazy number, isn't it? It's. I suppose a hybrid system has so much weight in it. I mean, the battery alone and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting car. I'm not as excited about it as, say, when the current M2 came out, or the M3 and M4, just because I like my drivers' cars, and I think it's going to be impressive. It's probably 750 horsepower, be fast, but I think you're going to feel a bit removed from it. It's just going to be a rocket ship of a car.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. It's still, I'm still really keen to get my hands on it and try it out and see what it's like. And I'm sure BMW M will prove me wrong in many ways in terms of its driving dynamics.
Yeah, it'll be like a lot of these big cars. It will hide its weight through electronics and jiggery pokery. Amazing tires.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not, hopefully won't be quite as heavy, but my next car, and actually I think it's the press launch for this is like tomorrow. I think it will probably be live by the time the podcast goes live, and that's the new Porsche Macan EV.
Yes.
And that there's a few more bits. Porsche released lots of pictures of it, so I think we can all kind of have a look at what it's going to look like. But I think it's going to be an interesting car. Power-wise, it's going to be over 600 horsepower, about 1,000 Newton meters of torque.
Wow.
It's got an 800-volt system architecture, so it'll be very rapid charging.
Yep.
So 300 kilowatts and above. So you'll be able to get, the idea is you've got, 300 miles of range or whatever, but you'll be able to get a couple hundred miles of range in maybe 15, 20 minutes tops. So
wow. Is that rapid charging with chargers that don't work?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we probably do a podcast on that actually, because I think the UK government, they were targeted to have 6 rapid chargers in every motorway service station by the end of the year. Last year. Yep. And they missed the target.
By how much?
Well, I think they had 5. Not 5 in every station. 5.
How many? What? There must be thousands of services.
Yeah, no, they missed it by a lot.
Wow.
A lot. But yeah, no, so if you can get a rapid charger, and Mr. Doubting Thomas, over there, they are better than you think.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's the whole focus of that. But I think if they can do to Macan
Yep.
that's the first Porsche, by the way, to bring the name over, because Taycan was a brand new car.
Of course.
To have an all-electric Macan. If they can do what they did to Taycan, because let's face it, Taycan as an EV is, from a driving point of view, about as good as you get.
Yeah.
Then I think that'll be a really good car.
Yeah.
And then I guess close on its heels will be things like Boxster and Cayman EV. But and I know lots of people are going to be like, oh, it's a Porsche, it shouldn't be electric. Welcome to the world we live in, people.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Yep.
So that should be a good car. Look forward to driving that.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because, I mean, look, the fact it's got a Porsche badge on it, to me, regardless of whether it's EV or combustion engine or hybrid, I'm keen to drive it because I just know it's going to have some DNA in it. I know it's going to be good fun. But it is, we've talked about it a lot. It's an interesting space at the moment because, like, I know of so many people that have gone the other direction. They've had EVs, they've now jumped back into combustion engine. At the moment, as we stand as a private customer, it's really interesting because we're not, I don't know, go back 2 or 3 years and I would have thought in my head, right, by now would be getting pushed into EVs, but actually we're not. Like there's nothing pushing us into that Macan, in the sense that it's like, well, I could get that, or I could buy something else that's combustion engine and keep that for the next few years until I need to. So I feel sorry for a lot of these German manufacturers where they don't really, can you imagine what Porsche have invested into this car? You kind of want it to sell well because it's going to be a brilliant piece of technology. But then you think to yourself, but are people going to be queuing up to buy them?
The challenge they've got is the legislations that they have a proportion of their manufactured cars that have to be full battery electric, and that proportion increases over time until you hit 2030.
Yep.
And if they don't do it, it's big fines, and they're big fines.
Yep.
I was talking to somebody about it at the What Car Awards last week. So from a manufacturer's point of view, they've got no choice.
Yep.
The legislators have already made that call. But you're right. I mean, I think I probably know 6 people that own a Taycan.
Yep.
And they're all cars that have been bought through a company for the tax breaks.
Yeah.
None of them are a private purchase.
No.
And of all the other people I know with EVs, most of those are salary sacrifice type schemes.
Yep.
If you do that, I've got a friend with a Model Y salary sacrifice scheme. I don't know, he's paying £400 a month.
Yep.
Effectively for a lease.
Yep.
The car's not his, so he's not worried about the depreciation that they're seeing at the moment because he'll just give it back at the end of the lease and have another one.
Yeah.
But somewhere in that ecosystem, someone's taking a hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is, and I think this year is going to be really interesting. I put a video out on my channel. I want to try and give it fair coverage and not sit in one camp or another.
Yep.
But I do think there's challenging times ahead. I mean, now's a great time to buy a second-hand EV.
Wow.
Because there's some mega bargains out there.
Second-hand anything, really.
Yeah. And I think that's only going to get better.
Yep.
There was a story I saw, I think it was Hertz in the US have just defleeted a whole bunch of EVs.
20,000.
Yeah, because nobody liked hiring them.
Yeah, Ford in the US have said they closed all the EV plants.
Yeah.
Because they're just not.
Well, to be fair, they only had Mustang, really, didn't they?
Oh yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh no, and all their commercial.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Are they F-150?
Oh, the Lightning thing. Yeah, of course they are. Yeah. We don't really get those here, though, do we?
No, but again, you can. I guess it's a case by case because if you were a tradesman and you worked in central London and you didn't do crazy amount of miles, then something electric van wise or whatever lightning wise, it kind of works, and if you can charge at home, then great. And I'm sure you get some tax benefits from that. But then you scale that up to, I spent a bit of time in Australia last year or in the States in these big, vast open areas. And in some cases, it's impossible for that electrician or that plumber or whoever it is to do these ridiculous journeys that I'm sure they do because, they're not living in cities, they're living out in the middle of nowhere. They can't just simply go, okay, yeah, it's time to check. Can they? It's not viable. Yeah. They can't, unless they turn up to their customers' premises and they're like, hi, can I just plug my my car in so I can get to the next job.
Yeah.
I think certain countries, and I discovered that when I went with Volkswagen to Brazil, whenever that was, sometime last year, and they've got their biofuels, and they've just got each country's kind of got a different structure to it, hasn't it? And certain things will work better in some countries than others, and it's going to be a lot of shuffling around, and I'm sure it's not the last time we'll talk about this on the podcast.
I think it's going to be a challenging year. You know, at the end of the day, most new cars coming to market this year, with the exception of probably M5, actually, is going to be a hybrid or a battery electric.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
What else are you looking forward to then? Cheer us up.
Well, I will. I'm gonna talk about the Porsche as well. So we've both gone BMW Mini.
Yeah.
Now we're both going Porsche. The 992.2
hybrid.
Which exactly. But again, online it hasn't been fully announced. No. But online it's all a bit. Some people are saying some of the models are still going to be combustion only. Some are going to be hybrid with naturally aspirated, so downsized, I think it is, or no, an upsized NA engine with a hybrid system, but it's not a mild hybrid, but it's not a plug-in hybrid. So but again, it's all hearsay, so I don't want to get too much into it.
But whatever it is, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
Because if you think you're taking what already, the 992 is an amazing platform.
Yeah.
And you think, I don't know how, so, you know, we've obviously had big significant birthday for 911 last year.
Yep.
And that car's been around, you know, for such a long time.
Yeah.
And every time you get a new generation, you think, this is amazing. How do you get better than this? And then the next generation that comes along is better. And you think they've got to get to a point that I'd hate to be a designer or a developer in Porsche, because you think, okay, so we have the 992 and now we have to make it better.
Yes.
Damn.
Was that your German accent?
Yeah, I decided I was going to try and do, I was going to do that, and then I thought, no, I'll just, you know, I'll go
style it out.
I'll go straight into, you know, bad German war film from World War II.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's true. The 99, I mean, the 911, back in the day, it was a fundamentally flawed design that Porsche have just turned into the best sports car in the world forever. I mean, Pat's got one from about the 1800s, I think his one is.
Steam powered.
Steam powered. Well, it was steam powered for a while until he got an engine back in it.
Yeah.
Now, what have you got, Pat?
It's a 1968 912. So it's a 4-pot like Pete's one.
Yay!
A 1968 912, and I have to say,
a 4-pot Porsche.
It is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a stunning car. 4-pot, yeah. So in Ped's camp. But yeah, Patrick Films on Instagram. If you don't follow Pat, check it out, because it's a beautiful car. But yeah, so the 992, the one and this is such a small reservation about it, and it's but I say that, I bet you 992 owners at the moment, most of them will probably agree. One of my favorite things about the current 992 interior, and I think it is one of the best interiors on the planet. Everything's just how you want it. There's not too much and not too little.
From the two either edge of the screen that you can't see.
Yes, but that you know, that's part of history. I complained about that when I first got the first 992 on the channel, and I said, and then people started commenting in it, and so basically what Ped's referring to is there's 5 dials, isn't there, 5 gauges, and you can't see the 2 outer ones unless you move your head. But apparently that was engineered in or set up to hark back to an older 911 where you couldn't do that. I mean, it sounds mad, but if Porsche are saying that, I kind of believe them.
Yeah. Sorry, so it's not that.
No, but it is to do with that display. So at the moment, it's fully digital, apart from in the middle, you have a wonderful, the analog rev counter, which just sits there. When everything's turned off, you just see the rev counter. And when you fire it all on, everything comes alive. But that analog thing, the rev counter is still there, and it's beautiful. Apparently, they're getting rid of that, and they're going to put the Taycan. So it's a smaller binnacle, and they've got rid of that. And to me, it's a bit of a shame, because it's like getting almost like a Rolex or something, and then just turning it into a digital. It's like, you know, I like that last bit of. But again, this is what I've seen on spy shots. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
I might listen to this back in a few months and go, you were so wrong. But just little touches like that, it's like, I would want that in my Porsche because it's one of my favorite bits about the current 992.
And I'd take that little kind of gear selector thing.
Yes.
And I'd have the GT gear selector. I'd have a proper gear stick in there.
Exactly.
Don't get that little. It's not quite as bad as the Audi one that looks like a nipple.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're all doing it. BMW in their latest 3 Series updates. And it's a shame, isn't it? Because that's like...
Well, it gives you somewhere to put your hand when you're like, in a traffic jam.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just there's that's nice. I mean, again, it might just be because it's us and our age and generation, but at least with the Porsche, you get it's not a key, but you get the tab to turn, which does feel like an old key, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, the 992.2, as you say, it's going to be better than ever, and just an updated version. They might even improve the cup holders because they were the negative, I think.
Yeah. I tried to use one yesterday in my Boxster with a cup of coffee, and it's...
Oh, but you've got the good cup holders.
Yeah, I know, but they're still... even those are like a bit dodgy if you've got a tall cup.
Oh,
I would
yes.
never feel confident that they're not going to just tip over and put coffee everywhere.
That's right, because the actual catch is a bit low, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about coffee in a roastery.
Exactly, yeah.
I know you've already given him a shout out, but they do fantastic coffees down here, as you can imagine, Podium Place. So if you haven't popped down, then make sure you do. And they've actually got, well, talking about chargers, they've actually got a charger out there.
They've got 2 DC chargers out there.
Yeah, I don't know, is that 50 kilowatt?
That's 50 kilowatt.
Yeah. And there's one of those really peculiar looking EQ. In fact, that's a better looking one than some of the Mercedes stuff I've seen. What was that? An EQC, I think. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Any other new cars?
Well, talking about EVs, because we're running towards the end of our time, but there is a car from MG.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay.
And that's not Morris Garages, by the way.
No.
That's MG, called the Cyberster.
Oh, I could see you in that, Ped. I can see you.
Have you seen the doors of it, though?
No.
It's got scissor doors. It's got it's a combination. It's like halfway between a McLaren and a Koenigsegg. The doors kind of go like that.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a basic. Well, it's a full battery electric car.
Yep.
Like all MGs are. But it's a 2-seat convertible sports car.
Wow. That's kind of got your name written all over it.
It has got my name written all over it, and I don't think it's going to be ridiculous money, and it's going to be quite quick as well. So, yeah, I'm quite intrigued.
Cyberster.
I know. I don't know. I think it looks like how you say it, Cyberster.
I need to actually Google that because we talked about that on the podcast.
I'm going to do that now while you're
so
talking.
I can see it.
Yeah.
And I'll finish with my third and final car that's actually been launched or revealed today. So it wasn't on my list when we go back a few weeks. Oh, okay.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. I mean, that to me is what MG was back in the day, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. I mean, the doors are pretty unnecessary.
They are, I'm sure. But yeah.
Will they actually make it? Oh, so that's actually a finished car.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I can't remember how much they are now. They're not silly money either.
But wouldn't you? I mean, I just don't know. If I saw someone turn up here,
50 grand.
Wow. I mean,
That's actually quite a lot of money for an MG, isn't it?
But if you saw, I don't know, if I saw someone turn up here in that and they lifted the door, I just don't know how I could. I don't know. I don't know how that would sit with me. It would just be like, it's almost like a Lamborghini wannabe, but not.
If you had a Lambo door conversion.
A Lambo door. Wow. I don't know. Well, let's see. 50 grand. I mean, 50 grand's a lot of money, but in this day and age, it's not, is it? So yeah, I'm keen to see that. My third car is something that they've actually launched today. It's a brand that you were with yesterday. It's the Volkswagen Golf.
Yes.
It's what all manufacturers are doing at the moment. It's the new Golf. It's not new. It's not new. Let's just get this straight. When a manufacturer says something's new, they're probably lying. It's a facelifted version of the current Mark 8 Golf, right?
Yeah.
It's an 8.5. But I'm not just bagging Volkswagen because BMW, they all do it. This new It's not new. It's a facelift. And that car had a few issues that needed addressing because fundamentally, chassis-wise, especially the GTI and the Golf R and stuff of the Mark 8 is brilliant. I think it's a fantastically fun, exciting car, but it had a lot of things that were flawed on the inside. So from my understanding, the 8.5, the new one, it's got redesigned front bumper, redesigned rear bumper, all normal sort of facelifted things. But in the interior, they have done some new things. They have replaced the the current steering wheel that we know with all the haptic buttons that annoyed the hell out of me at the time. And I remember in my video I talked about that, and so many people jumped on, there's nothing wrong with it, it's fine, it'll be... Well, they've replaced it, so there clearly was something wrong with it. They've replaced it with an old wheel from the, I think it's from the Mark 7 or Mark 7.0, which again...
Just take stuff off it.
Yeah, either remove things off it or replace it with the old one, which had lovely proper buttons that were actually inbound from the rim. They don't foul your hands and you don't accidentally press them. And so that's one thing. So that's a positive for sure. What they've done with the infotainment, again, I haven't tried this, is I think it's even bigger now. They've got rid of a lot of the bugs. You'll know more about this because you probably actually used it.
I saw we'll call it Mark 8.5 Golf when I was in Germany for the Tiguan launch, which was like November, maybe October.
Yep.
And it was the longest embargo I've ever had for a video because the embargo dropped at midnight last night.
Oh, right. So have you filmed something?
Well, no, because I had a bloody mic problem going back to what we were talking about at the beginning. So that day I did Tiguan, the new Passat, and the Golf, and the Passat and Golf videos. I had mic failure, so I had no audio. So I've got some video of me walking around lip reading.
Yep.
So I couldn't put anything out. But yeah, I was at the ID7 press drives yesterday.
Yep.
And I think it's safe to say that VW have had a fair amount of criticism of their infotainment system, or they call it their HMI.
Yep.
And their human machine interface, because it was very laggy, overly complex, just not great at all. And the new ID7, I think it was a 15-inch screen.
Yep.
With their new infotainment system, which I have to say was miles better.
Okay.
Like miles better.
Yeah.
It's still very complicated, but it allows you to customize stuff. It's a bit like in your M3, you can have the top and bottom row of icons on the screen. You can customize them. So they're like, you're only one touch away from your most commonly used features.
Shortcuts.
Which is dead easy to set up.
Yep.
You can have a number of screens. You can customize all of those.
Yep.
And then you just talk to it.
Okay.
So it's got a voice assistant that works really well.
But do you talk to your cars?
Well, no, but if you do,
but like really, who talks? Like
I'll ask Google to, hey Google.
Yeah, but
text
even then
so-and-so.
it's. Oh, I see what you mean when you're driving along. Yeah. But
so in the world of talking to things like Alexa, it's no different to anything.
I don't know.
Such an old curmudgeon,
no, I just don't see the why when. It's literally the case of if it's not broken, don't fix it. That's what I was getting onto next. They call it the chatbot or something.
Oh no, that's coming. So that's not in ID7. That will be coming, but it wasn't launched yesterday. But yes, ChatGPT.
Who wants that?
I don't know. And
who wants a chatbot?
Well, the Stellantis brand has just done that as well.
And Mercedes, I had to mention this as well because I just think it's horrific. This Will I Am thing that's now in all the new Mercs that they're pushing forward, all the new electric. And have you seen that Will I Am? So they did this launch out in Vegas a couple
You mean
of weeks
William?
Ago. William, yeah. And I know Tim and a few others went there. And basically, the car plays music from him based on how your driving is. So the second you pull away, instead of any kind of fake engine sounds or electric sounds that say Porsche or BMW, it now starts playing music from Will I Am. So if you drive aggressively, it's like quite hard music. If you do, I mean, what a gimmick! What a ridiculous waste of money. Yes, everyone was talking about it at some point, but you clearly didn't see it. But I mean, just things like that. It's like it's manufacturers really clasping at straws, trying to find something that's a bit different. And I just think the whole talking to me, if the car's talking to me or I'm not interested. And that might just be me. Maybe let us know in the comments. Is that just me? I don't think so, though. I think
I'll give you an example. So just, I mean, I do kind of get it, but I think we do live in a world where voice assistants, whether that's Alexa or Google or whatever, are more and more popular in the home. I mean, I come home every night and go, "Hey, Alexa, play Virgin Radio," or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And that's you get used to that. When we first got it, it was like, really?
Yeah.
But I was cooking last night and I put something on and say, "Hey, Alexa, set a 3-minute timer," and you just do it without thinking.
Yes. But it's
that crossover. All that's doing is that the auto manufacturers think, well, is there a use for that, bringing that into the car so that you don't have to be distracted from the road and touch a screen? And there is an argument. These big screens. Every time I review a car that's got one, people say it's dangerous and distracting. Maybe it's their counter to say, well, actually, you don't need to touch something.
Yeah.
So I was filming with this ID7 yesterday, and it was a rainy day, and the rear windscreen was misting up.
Yep.
And could we find the demister button? And it was it was just the bottom right hand side of the steering wheel.
Yeah.
There's a whole pad with all that, and I was sat in the passenger seat, so I couldn't find it. So in the end, we just said, "Hey, Ida, demist the rear windscreen," and she went, "Okay," and
it
demist
came
the rear
up.
windscreen.
Yeah.
So
So it's fixing a problem that they've introduced. Essentially, that's really what it is. I get the whole home thing, but there's two massive fundamental differences. When you walk into your home, and you might be, I don't know, the sound system's over there, so you could now say turn on radio to whatever. Great, that's saving some. But when you're in your driver's seat and you've got everything surrounded you, and you know where everything is, and you've got all your buttons, and you don't need to go anywhere or do anything or move. It's all there or here. So it's very different to being at home and asking, the music to go on or the lights to change or your egg timer to go on. It's a very different, in my head, it's very different. But I don't even use that at home. So maybe I am just stuck in the Stone Ages.
Here we go, old fart curmudgeon. Hold on a minute. Here's an example. So you're driving along and I want to call you. All right. Now, you could argue whether you should be using phone while you're driving or not. But it's hands-free.
Well, if you can now talk to your car, then surely you can talk to people on the phone.
No. But what I was going to say is, so instead of having to go into the screen and find you and push call Joe, I would just say call Joe.
Yes.
I know we've been able to do that in cars for like 10, 15 years probably.
Call Jim. No, not Jim. Joe. Calling. No. No.
Oh, mate.
In my car, I would just press the phone button on the wheel and it would come up, recent called, which is probably you if it's whatever. Yeah, I see what you're saying. There is arguments both ways, but I just think voice recognition and all that stuff is just absolute. Yeah, I think it's more of a distraction than a good, and I'm sure it has got better. But it's
so anyway, so that was the Golf, and that's our hour pretty much.
So have they improved anything? Probably not, but hopefully, I'm sure it's still a good car.
What I would say though, in linking what I was saying, is their new infotainment system in VW is night and day better than the old one.
That's good.
They've clearly spent a lot of time and a lot of money.
Oh, they needed
sorting
to,
it out,
and I'm glad.
It was pants.
I'm glad, yeah, because it also trickles into everyone else's.
Yeah,
like Cupra and their terrible infotainment and all the rest. Skoda somehow have managed to improve on, the systems I've used in Skodas. Yeah. I'm only saying that because you're sitting next to me. Are better than all of them.
Yeah.
They seem to, and obviously Audi have got in a very different direction. But it's about, I think, it's about time that they're going to change because all their old, their stuff's. I'm here actually today in an RS7 Performance, 140 grand as optioned. But that's as lovely and beautiful as that cabin is. It's all beginning to feel a bit dated because it's been around since 2017, 18 now.
Well, yeah, because I had that TT RS Icon Edition last week.
Yep.
And that, I'm still pretty confident about myself. I think that was the first TFT-based screen, right? Their virtual cockpit. I think they were the first brand to do.
Yep.
I think there'd been TFT or screens on other brands, but to have all of the speedo, the dials, the reconfiguring, all that, they were the first to do that.
Yep.
And that must have been 2013 maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back then.
Yep.
So it's been around a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It probably. There you go.
Yes. I think we've there's lots more to talk about, but we could probably carry them over to the next podcast because we've already smashed through the hour.
I know. You need to get some coffee and maybe some food just to stop you being grumpy.
I like being grumpy. I like having a good moan. It makes me feel better about life, having a moan. Yeah.
Oh dear. Anyway, we will draw that one to a close. I've already asked you to subscribe, so you should have done that by now already.
Yes.
And make sure you tune in for the next Drive Talk podcast. But yeah, should we go and get some food?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been emotional. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.